Hey guys, it's me, EODGamer here, and today we're back with another Honkai Star Rail video. This one's going to be a first in a series of build guide videos that I'll be doing because I'm going to just help us navigate through the mess of content that is available right now. So many different characters and we are all lost in this jungle. So hopefully this video, I know it's a bit early to make a build guide video, but I thought of putting one out for especially a character like Fire MC who everyone has, so that I can at least put some commentary to help us redirect us onto maybe a path that we can, a direction that we can follow. So I think Fire MC does see significant amount of value in mainly two teams. Is teams that don't have either Gepard or Bailu, who are very solid solo defensive options in the secondary team on their own, or secondly, she works very well in teams that are playing pure fire as well later on when you want to have like Estar, Hook and etc. Kind of fire focused team composition, and that is something that you want to note for the longer run. But let's just talk about right now in the present. I'll probably do an updated one once I have like her at the max level. I just want to be real quick to get this information out to you guys to help you when you most need it as well, not when everything is like all fully built. And okay, so now let's talk about in terms of her skills and which one you want to increase first in terms of tracers. In terms of the central tracers, she uses all of them equally as much. You will really rotate between basic attacks, between a skill and her ultimate ability as well. Very, very solid in terms of overall kit. She does a little bit of damage with her ultimate, her normal attacks which get enhanced, and also in terms of drawing some aggro damage reduction in terms of her skill as well. So you have a bit of damage reduction in her kit, you have a little bit of taunting as well, you have some shielding over here. It's not a lot of shield, but it's decent as well. Does good damage that scales off both with attack as well as defense, and she does quite a good damage with her ultimate ability as well that scales both with attack as well as defense. And that's important to know because this character scales with like HP, defense and attack, all three of the main stats as well. So it's quite difficult to like fully maximize, but gains a lot of efficiency for a lot of base stat the character has already. And overall, if you are looking to expand in terms of like the other tracers, I would say you should unlock all of them when you can. They're all very useful in terms of how she is played, and you shouldn't really be skipping anything because the branch is inefficient. But if you do have a choice, for example these minor tracers, you want to focus generally on the more defensive ones like defense percentage, and as well as the ones that is attack percentage like these ones that you see here. I would say that HP, those with the heart, are of a slightly lower priority because HP doesn't add to her offensive ability, but defense stat does contribute both to offense as well as defense for this character as well. So that is mainly for the tracers in terms of thought process. In terms of light cones is where it gets a little bit complex. I'm running defense preservation light cone that heals me up by 30% of my max HP whenever Fire MC uses her ultimate ability. So why am I using this is I'm actually preparing for my second half Memory of Chaos where I don't run a healer. I'm running a free-to-play challenge for myself that I only can play with base units, and out of all these characters we only have one healer that is totally free-to-play, which is Natasha right now. So I'm using this defense to prep for that in the long run. You will see that in my build as well, but I'll also be talking in terms of like if you're not running defense, I do think that another light cone that will work in a similar fashion will be We Are Wildfire, the free one as you complete story and the missions as well as like milestones. You will get this as well. It's very good because you get, even though it only says at the start of battle, even for long drawn out fights, you will have 5 turns that they have damage reduction by 10% to all allies. Very useful. And the moment you go into like the battle already, you immediately restore HP equal to like 35% of max HP and current HP, which means the maximum that you can heal is like less than 35%. So if you have 1% HP, you will maybe heal like 34 point something percent, and so on and so forth. So it just heals you based on lost HP of your max HP. Very solid already because it gives your whole team like an additional healing, especially if you're like sweeping through monsters after monsters. This value does add up quite significantly to keep your team like constantly topped up in terms of a little bit of healing as well as also a lot of damage reduction for the entire team to cycle through like PvE waves. If you don't want to run these two light cones, in terms of Landau's choice, some of you might have been getting as well. The damage reduction is good, but generally if you're playing her without a healer, you will find that it's quite lacking without that additional amount of sustain in the longer run. Of course, there's another light cone that I highly recommend, which would be like a the one with March 7's face on it is a day in the life of a new me or something like that, and it gives a damage reduction to the entire team. I think that's a really solid option to give like a team-wide support as well. You could run it either on March 7 or Fire MC. Both of them are very solid holders. You should at least have one in the party because of that team-wide damage reduction that is available. I don't have it with me in this screen, but you can easily just like search it up. Okay, so that is the light cone top process. You want to level the light cones because, as mentioned, Fire MC does scale with all of them. 3-star light cones generally is not favorable because she scales off with all of the 3 stats available. And as you know, 3 stars are much weaker in terms of stat scaling compared to 4-star equivalent. But I'm just trying a build that I'm trying to play for my like so-called free-to-play Nuzlocke challenge for Honkai Star Rail. That's why I'm using this one right now to test out a build. But otherwise, I would have easily switched to this We Are Wildfire one as well. Okay, so those are like tracers, light cones done. I think now we get to the fun part in terms of relics. And relics, right now in the early game, we have, I think, 8 sets to choose from. And really, your options are mainly, do you want to run this Wuthering Snow, or maybe you want to run some other gear that we will jump into in a little bit. But first, let me talk about why am I running Guard of Wuthering Snow and what are the main stats I'm running. So in terms of Guard of the Wuthering Snow, it's good because it gives her everything that she needs. She gives damage reduction with 8% for the 2-piece. And also, at the beginning of turn, if your HP is less than 50%, you'll restore HP equal to 8% of max HP, and also giving energy as well. So very, very versatile. Gives her uptime on her burst, and when she bursts, because I'm using the defense light cone, I heal even more. So it synergizes very well in terms of like the combo, in terms of the build that I'm going for. Good amounts of healing, good amounts of movement, so a good amounts of actions in terms of attacks as well. Those are like the reasons why I'm building this set. But this set is not only good for her, just a sneak peek into a Relics video that I'll be doing shortly after this as well. I do think that this is possibly one of the better sets early game because it just gives you tremendous amounts of value. Before we get access to like the end game golden gear, I do think that this set is definitely worth being looked into and also maybe slightly abused as well. But we'll jump into that in another video. Now let's talk about the main stats I'm running. Or rather, maybe before I jump into the main stats, let me talk about the options that you have right now. I think if you're like between 20 to 30 in terms of your Trailblaze level, you only have 4 main domains to farm. Personally, I don't like this Wild Weed on her because it's like attack and speed. Speed is good, but the speed is only like 6%, and generally Fire MC doesn't really have that much base speed. I think it's like 100 or even less than 100 speed, so that 6 speed is not significant, and she can use a lot of other stats as well. The attack is nice in terms of like you can use it on anyone. This set is very versatile, but you already get so many of these from like opening chests and stuff. I don't think it's like tremendous value. I do want to prefer like even a 3-star Wuthering Snow is definitely much more valuable because you just want this amazing 4-piece effect. Even the 2-piece is also tremendous already, that huge 8% damage reduction as well. Especially early on when you don't have like very nice speed gear, I do think that is a good option to choose from as well. Other than that, I don't really like any other set for her. You could consider using the Eagle of Twilight line for this action advance, but then again, ultimate is quite restrictive because not many characters have very, very solid uptime on their burst, especially early on when we don't have the gear to back it up as well. Similarly, this one's not very good also. Ultimate crit damage increased by 25%. I think the main comparison that we have that you can choose is Thief of Shooting Meteor if you wanted to. Maybe you had a nice set all this while. Break is pretty decent on Fire MC because she does do quite a bit of fire damage off the side as well, and especially when she takes a lot of actions on herself and increases break effect. And when you break, you get more energy, which is pretty solid overall. So this will be like a second place in terms of the options that we have in the early game. The ones that are going to matter in the slightly later game will be definitely the fire set that's going to come out. Then we will talk a bit more as we go along. But now let's talk in terms of like the main stats for the relics. What am I using as well for Fire MC? So I don't really care about any substats in terms of what I have. Like you can see these gloves, I really don't bother. I just want the main stat, which is attack. That's why I leveled it up. And similarly for the hat, as long as I have the HP up into a decent amount, I take it up to like 9. The max level for 4 stars is 12. I just take it up to like 374 and I'll stay lightly with this as long as I can. When I have more resources, I'll definitely push it up to 12. But I think more interestingly is what main stat am I using for my chest and boots. And in terms of chest, I'm actually running defense. It's quite hard to find. I never thought I would say this myself, but it was pretty difficult to find. I grinded a little bit to get this defense stat. And as you can see, I generally don't really care about what substats I have. I just took it up as high as my resources allowed me. I think somewhere around like 7 is pretty efficient. Anything beyond that, really you only want to go for like flat stats for the early game. For example, like gloves, I generally push it to like 9 if I can for damage dealers. And the hat also, I don't really like push it beyond a certain point because it's like HP and doesn't contribute directly to damage as well. That's for the chest, and for the boots, I'm running a HP. I would ideally want to switch this to speed if I can find it. I don't think doubling down in terms of defense is good. Attack might be also viable if you're not running an attack buffer like S-Star in the team. So at least you get to use a bit of the base stats and multiply that by a percentage base as well. So I think that attack will be ideal. HP, I wouldn't say is very ideal in this case, but it is nice also. I wouldn't say it's like totally detrimental because a lot of my build so far scales off with max HP in terms of like the healing and stuff like that. So I don't mind this as the main stat, so I took it up to level 6 as well. And if you want to see more of such videos in terms of like how I build other characters early on, do leave a comment below because I'm not too sure whether I want to make it now and then 1 month later it becomes totally irrelevant and wasting a lot of time as well. But if it helps you guys, do let me know. I'll definitely push it out for us as a community as well. Thank you so much for watching, and do check out these 2 other videos which I've already done on the channel, and see you in the next one.